Hi, Denise. How are you?
I'm great, Ilyas. Nice to see you.
You have this wonderful relationship. I don't know that of anybody who has a relationship with all of the super majors, but surely you must have an opinion as to whether having these machines being developed within large budgets, for example, the Google budget, for example, the Honeywell budget. I know that you love the Honeywell machine. Surely at this stage, those guys have an advantage. How can these small guys compete?
So I think in the short term, the big corporates have an advantage, but I do believe in science. I do believe in scientific innovation. I do believe in the guy in the back room that says, I think I can do this better. And I think this is a time where there's multiple ways to build a quantum computer. We don't know what the best technology is, if it's superconducting or ion trap or I don't know what, carbon or photonics. And so there's a lot of work that still needs to be done. And the influx of capital from venture and corporates is really helping people deliver different platforms. And the proof will come out as these platforms come to market and we see what they can really do. So everybody's placing their bets generally on one technology. And there's a lot of technologies out there that can do this. And I think, so that's what makes me excited, is to see all the different scientists kind of show their stuff and do what they're good at. And I think that will complement and contrast with what the corporates are doing.
Well, if that's the case, then how on earth do you balance? And I see you doing it every single day, but for the benefit of the listeners, for the benefit of the people who are dialing in, the majority of whom, Denise, this is not their life. They're not embedded in the quantum sector. They're interested. How do you balance that by focusing on your responsibility when you're speaking to a corporate client who is a user and who wants to extract the best they can out of the NISC era? I mean, that's a heavy responsibility that you have to those clients to make sure that we deliver value rather than just wave our arms around and get paid by the hour and come back again next month. I mean, I know that's not what we do. We're not involved in that business. But the business you are involved in, the clients you are taking on this journey, rely upon you to be able to navigate through this time frame. So is that a hard balancing act? Surely you've got to make choices. And you've said in the early days that maybe the big guys are the ones that might take the lead. So is there an inherent risk there, or do you think this is all healthy and all good? How can big clients remain confident that the work they're doing is portable to the next generation and the one after that?
So there's one answer, and it's really the answer of why I came to CQC. And it's a story where when I was at IBM, a startup came to me and they had written all their code on a language that wasn't the IBM language, QuizKit. And what happened is they wanted to move to QuizKit. And we had to they asked for the software that could translate from one language to another. It didn't exist. And so they had to go rewrite their software. And it took them quite a while to do it. And when I met you and I learned about CQC, I learned about this wonderful product called Ticket. And what Ticket does is it gives you, I call it device independence, and you'll laugh at me using that term. But what it does is it allows anybody that writes their software on top of Ticket the agility to move from quantum computing device to quantum computing device. And that was really important to me because I do believe that as the market shifts and as different devices come out, customers will want to be able to move their software to move on other devices without having to do a rewrite. And that was really kind of the cornerstone of my interest in CQC, because I thought it was so forward thinking for you guys to develop that product so early in the evolution of quantum computers. And to this day, so when I talk to customers, it's really interesting because most of them don't want to place a bet. And most of them don't want to say, I'm going with brand A, I'm going with brand B. Instead, what they tell me is they want what Ticket has. They want the ability to choose whatever platform is the platform of the moment and be able to move it to different platforms as technology expands. And so that is really the cornerstone, I think, of our company and what we talk about. I think it's just a tremendous product, and it has tremendous capabilities, so it's more than just being agile. And so to me, that is the attraction that our company brings customers, or how we get customers.
I'm reminded, actually, I was going to ask you a slightly different question, but I want to come back to that a little bit later, Denise. I'm reminded of something now that happened, I think, last year. I can't remember. You and I were in Tokyo, and we were meeting with our large and very important shareholder, GSR. And I think you had, and I can't remember the exact words, but you had more or less laid out what has come true, of course, which is that the large diversified cloud-based high-performance compute providers, people like Azure and AWS, of course, Google and others, they, whilst nurturing projects in-house, are opening up their cloud access to a variety of platforms. So they are, in fact, saying by their actions that, look, we are not sure which platform is going to be the best, but we do want people to access quantum computers. So do you think, if you now were to look forward a bit, as you did when you and I were in Tokyo, and maybe look forward a year or so, do you think there's any truth to the fact that certain processors might actually be better for certain jobs? Is that something that might become more apparent as we get into the next stage?
It might. It's very interesting. Now we have, obviously there's many great superconducting devices from IBM and from Rigetti. Mm-hmm. And now we have a new entrant in the market, the Honeywell ion trap device. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Ion traps tend to be slower devices. The slower devices may not be amenable to, let's say, finance or to certain industries where you need the results quickly. Yet what surprised me is Honeywell's first customer is a bank. And what I'm also hearing is that the time it takes to do a job on a Honeywell device is not as long as we had anticipated, because you don't need as many shots on the software. And so I'm actually seeing that Honeywell is performing very well for banks. So, all of this is to say that we can guess that maybe certain devices might be better for certain industries, but until each industry tries it out, we don't really know. So it's actually interesting, because I would have guessed that a bank was not the ideal customer for ion trap, yet I'm hearing differently in the industry.
Yeah, no, and you're right to point that out, Denise. That's absolutely correct. I mean, the other thing that you and I both know is, since we as a firm became customers, not just partners, with Honeywell and IBM, the access that we've had to those quantum processors, the cloud access, has improved on the IBM side immeasurably. Platform stability, platform diversity, the quality of the runtimes that we're now getting, these are all immeasurably better compared just to a year ago.
And that's what's so amazing about the industry, is because you talk to people and they say it's 5 to 10 years away, yet we're there, and it's amazing accomplishments. So what IBM has done over the past year, they've doubled their quantum volume. I think they have 16 or 18 devices worldwide. I mean, they've done some amazing work. And so this isn't just this technology that's inching along. It's a technology that's really growing, and growing quickly every day.
So can I just shift focus for a while? I'm going to put you on the spot again. Where do you think the jump will happen first, from interesting and exciting proofs of concept into something that has a real world impact today? Which area? I'm not asking you when that will happen, but in which area of industry do you think that that is likely to happen first?
I'm gonna ask you the same question. I'm gonna tell you my answer is I think chemistry,
Mm-hmm.
but I'd love to hear what you think.
Well, you and I have this wonderful privilege that we're going to tell future generations of. You know, we were there when we're old and I'm already old and crotchety. But look, I think that generating cryptographically sound keys from today's noisy computers may well become a reality this year 2020. I don't know what year this is being watched. Um, but I have to say that, and in fact, you are the person that best articulates this, and you should in a second when I finished. If we were to think about an impact on humanity, which at the same time creates a large addressable market for that product, then I would have to agree with you on quantum chemistry. I don't know within quantum chemistry where that will happen, but I do know, Denise, that within the firm, you've been leading the charge on galvanizing our quantum chemistry team into looking and being brave about placing some bets. So in quantum chemistry, there's a lot going on. I don't know whether you can be a little bit more specific in which areas you think that those big bets might come off first.
So it's hard to say where the bets come first because I think one has to carefully craft a problem given the number of qubits and the size of the molecules. So I think that it's going to take some finesse, and I certainly think our team has that finesse. Mm-hmm. I do want to address the quantum random number comment you made. I agree with you. I think that's coming. But I had looked at the bigger applications, although that's as well a very big application. So I think within the next year, I believe there will be some breakthrough chemistry results, smaller type molecules, very well thought out. And I don't quite know what that application is going to be, whether it's, I don't even know, carbon capture or a new material, a new this or a new that.